survey, the parent survey sent out through our email system to all of the parents, and we ask them to respond. And so all who respond, we compile with an answer to that data.
Is that survey in here? I didn't.
It's an appendix. Appendix, A.
I didn't get there yet. I also have a comment to make. I agree with Mr. Asadorian that I too want the parents who have an expelled child to have the opportunity to have a hearing with the county board. So I appreciate your comment, but I feel that every parent needs a place to go for appellant. And I don't see a conflict of interest to do that. Because we're only looking at due process. We're not judging the case. We're only looking at due process to make sure. I'd just like to make a comment after reading 100 pages at least. That I note that what you're doing, I want for every school, every public school, every district public school. And we don't have this yet in all districts. You're very fortunate to have it. Academic counselors, target case manager, Saturday bridge to success, Saturday credit recovery, academic mentoring and training. And all this leads to your success that you've been able to enhance. I was shocked to go to a football game though and see the majority of the kids were football players and couldn't all play. And I was wondering also, where does this money come from with all these uniforms for the music program and this? So now I know.
Where you know, yeah, so we also have an incredible business community association, the CVCHS, and they're, I don't know what percent, but I'll tell you it's a whole lot of their budget, and they have a very hefty budget through their regular fundraisers and wine and arts festivals and Oktoberfest, and a lot of their money, they support our different programs, our arts, our athletics, our clean campus.
I saw a number on the financial page.
Is that akin to a foundation?
It's a community, it's like a Rotary Club, it's a Chamber of Commerce, kind of like that, yeah.
I would like to, since there is conflicting opinion regarding the expulsion, I would like, if it's possible, for legal opinion by whether we are actually putting ourselves in, we are having legal liability by becoming the appellate body of a charter school. How many county boards are actually appellate bodies, and align it also with the new case law, because again, they are technically not expelling the child, because the child can enroll in the Mount Diablo without any, there is no, nothing that done to their educational rights. So in terms of that, I don't want it to be their opinion. I would like the legal opinion, our legal exposure being an appellate body.
That's reasonable.
Thank you.
I think it's a good idea. Okay, any more questions? I have a couple myself. I'd like to, Mr. Marion, you spoke of a political environment before, that you employed an independent third party. Without revealing who that third party is, was it a professional party?
It was, and that's public knowledge.
It's public knowledge?
It is, I can reveal what the institution. So it was Oracle Investigations Group, which is a licensed, bonded, third-party investigation firm that handles matters around educational topics that we investigate similar to ours. All of the employees there are traditionally ex-law enforcement officers. And the individual who investigated our case, Simone Mueller, has upwards of 20 years in law enforcement. She was leading the case.
Does that organization or any members of it, especially the third person who did the investigation for you, do they have a continuing relationship with the school?
They will not. Legal counsel Youngman and Core was tasked by the board of directors to go seek an investigative firm. They contracted with Oracle Investigations for the specific scope of conducting employee complaints against other employees. We went through all of those complaints, had our findings reported to the board, and we have ceased our relationship with Oracle since we consider the issue now closed.
Thank you. Now, I'd like to ask you a question about the academies. How many academies do you have, and could you give us an idea of what their subject matter is about?
I'll defer that to staff since I'm not very much.
So academies is in smaller and community schools within the school. There are currently 4 in existence. The Clayton Arts Academy is the oldest. There are approximately 130 plus or minus 140 students in that academy, essentially 1 section per grade level, about 33 plus or minus students. The Public Service Academy will be the second oldest, and each of these niches are kind of focused on a theme or a career. Public Service Academy is about the same size. The Engineering and Design Academy is about twice the size of the other 2 academies. They've been in existence now for I think 4 or 5 years. So approximately 250 plus or minus students there, 200 students.
Okay.
And then the final one is the brand new one, the Medical Careers Academy, which is
How do you determine that you'll establish a particular academy?
in all cases, they've been grassroots efforts. Teacher-driven for the most part. The Medical Careers Academy, our most recent, was actually motivated through student interest. The students formed a club on campus, Medical Careers Club. Then they approached a couple of key teachers and myself, and the group actually built that program from the ground up. As a proponent of academies in smaller communities, I think it's absolutely essential that it is a grassroots effort because they have to be invested in that program in order for it to work.
Okay, do you have any plans for future academies?
I would say yes. Our WASC action plan actually promotes exploring new academies and further growth in the academy arena. We've seen incredible success with those programs. Personally, my opinion is that the school should eventually be wall-to-wall academies. In other words, that there's essentially an academy that every student belongs to. In fact, that would be my work to that end. So yes, do I have a specific academy that's next on the target list? No, there's been several that have been talked about. Construction Academy, a Culinary Arts Academy, and there's several others.
Could you tell me briefly how they work?
Sure. There's typically a typical high school student has a 6-period day, wherein they take core classes and some amount of electives. The academies take some of those sections, and that becomes the core of the academy program. For instance, the Clayton Arts Academy is an English and social science core with an arts elective. So those, and the English and history are the traditional English and history classes that you have to take as a graduation requirement, with a thematic spin on them to focus on the arts. And then there's that art elective based on a specialty of the student's choice. They do fine arts, they do photo, they do theater. And then that 3-class academy becomes a pure siloed kind of group within the larger school, and that their classes are all in the academy students, their teachers are all part of the academy. They typically do larger projects that are cross-disciplinary. Not that you don't see that outside of the academy with some teachers working together, but this is kind of that idea on steroids. The teachers typically have a common prep period so that they can collaborate and design their program and work on the projects, et cetera, et cetera. So you have some sort of iteration like that in each model. Typically a 3-core program.
Right. Next.
Sure.
Any more?